So Nigerian entrepreneurs are facing tough operating environment going by the various socio-economic parameters. So what strategies are businesses putting in place to mitigate the headwinds in order to stay afloat? Eka Obaigwena is the founder and managing director at Toasties Limited, a restaurant chain business headquartered here in Lagos, and she joins me now in the studios. It's a Thank God Friday.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. It's been raining seriously
yes,
in the city. So I don't know how you folks try to get around some of this. But again, what are your thoughts around ease of doing business in Nigeria? I'm sure you watch television, you watch this show as well as other news and talk about ease of doing business. Is it really easy doing business as an entrepreneur?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. So it is challenging, definitely. There are statistics that say that 80% of SMEs in Africa fail within the first 5 years of business. And the reason for that is obviously a harsh economic environment, lack of access to funding. But even with that, I would say we have the propensity to, do our own parts to do our own research to make sure that, for example, when I first started my business, it was difficult to get information about, the restaurant industry, because I am in food business. At the time, Google was not really filled with a lot of information about, how to start a business. If you want to start a business in the United States, you might be able to Google how to start. You might be able to Google it, and you might be able to find the information. So we have to do our own parts to, I guess, try and, yeah, exactly.
I'm thinking, I know. So again, it's just like digging through with your bare fingers. Bare knuckles, in a manner of speaking.
Yes.
Starting up, that was about 7 years ago. So the process, every entrepreneur, small businesses collapse within the first 5 years. So you 7. So you've escaped that, the mortality rate. So you've survived the mortality period. But again, building a restaurant business or food chain business from scratch, as it were, what are the key issues for you in key points? If you want to tell me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what were those issues?
Okay, number one is very important to have processes in place for whether it's your recipes or the way you measure your ingredients, because of monitoring your finances. Any process that you don't have, for example, if you don't have a process for if you don't have a process for monitoring the stock movement, maybe from when a supplier brings your stock and you're not automating your processes, or you don't have a process for training, these things can lead to errors or loss of your raw material. So it's very important to make sure you're following processes and training.
A major issue.
What is what?
Skilled labor.
What is the main issue with skilled labor?
Yes. Was that an issue as a startup?
Yes, so that's why I say to make sure you have a strong training process. But at the end of the day, the talent is out there and the opportunity is out there. We just have to do our own part to make sure that we are, training and we have strong processes.
What about finance? I'm surprised you haven't talked about money.
Oh.
Because again, do you get this from the bank, whatever?
Okay, so it's not, so finding funds is not necessarily, in general, it's not as easy when you're starting up, right, in this market, but there are banks, like we've been able to get loans from banks, we've been able to get loans from, and as we're trying to expand, we're hoping to be able to, start trying to raise funds. But it's not been easy, definitely. It's not been an easy process.
Yeah, I was supposed to go, but banks are not taking it easy with.
Yeah, the interest rates are really intense right now. I honestly wouldn't recommend. I would recommend that you focus on trying to cut your costs as much as possible, rather than just trying to
get more loans.
If you can do it as much as you can do on your own, you should definitely do that, because when you start, getting into all these interest rates and the loan repayment schedules and everything, it can get very challenging. So I really recommend people to try and look at how you can cut your costs down as much as possible.
Your sector was one of the most hardly hit worldwide during the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm sure because folks just everybody just stayed back at home.
Yes.
So I was wondering how you folks at Toasties were able to walk through the 2020, 2021 period.
Yeah.
It was during that time you did not open a new outlet?
Yes, we did. So lucky for us, we already had a system for delivery. So most of our orders are delivery. So we didn't have to spend time educating customers that, now you can deliver, you can get orders delivered.
It was already part of your
it was already part of us,
yes.
Part of our system. But it was still tough because sales did drop during the period, but we didn't suffer as much as other businesses might have suffered. And even during the time, because of the drop, I was actually able to start another business, boardlagos.com. And essentially, it's a food gifting company. So I tried to be innovative. So it's a food gifting company. So people would send food to people as,
to friends.
And yes, to friends.
Because people had birthdays, they got
exactly.
whatever
so
it is,
we'll
but they can meet together.
Exactly.
So if I want to give to you, for example, I could just ask for Toasties or so just bottle. What's it called?
Board.
Board. And then you got this put together, and then it could be delivered to me as a gift from you.
Exactly.
That's a very creative view of
thinking. So that's what we just had to figure out a way to pivot to make sure that we can. That's how we did it. Yeah.
Very, very interesting, because I was wondering. Then you added more branches. I'm not going to let that.
Yes, we did, and lucky for us, we were at a position where we could do that without any outside funding at the end of COVID. Yes, we were. We were able to do that. Yeah, because we were hit by COVID, but things didn't really drop as much. What happens? We didn't grow at the rate we expected to grow. But other than that, we were lucky enough that the business is still because the business is still a viable business. There's definitely a market for what we're doing. Toasted sandwiches. When I first started, people said that sandwiches in Nigeria, that doesn't make sense. But at the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding.
We're a heavy food nation, but perhaps again, you got a whole lot working for you. I'm trying to understand how you get it. But again, things are getting tougher. Everybody is complaining with exchange rate, inflation, whatever. So how are you coping with this new nuances in which diesel price is about 1,000 per liter, petrol is also up, kerosene is up, gas is also going up. How are you coping with all of that?
So at the beginning, earlier on in my business, I would say my background is not in finance, right? So I'm a chef. So I wasn't really monitoring, when the cost of goods would go up, I would say things like, let me wait and see if things are going to stabilize first before. I don't want to keep increasing my prices all the time for customers, but I really advise against that. Definitely try and adjust your prices, because you have to stay in business at the end of the day. So adjust your prices as much as possible. So even right now, as costs have gone up, we're trying to cut our costs as much as possible. We're trying to automate our processes as much as possible. Everything from when documenting every single step, when an order is put in, when a supplier delivers their goods. So a lot of companies or food businesses in the startup phase do not automate their processes. So making sure you can see your numbers and know your numbers will allow you to adjust and adapt. So that's like one of the biggest things that we've seen. So I'll actually say that this year has been even a blessing in terms of we're a tighter company than we have ever been. And I can see that our margins will eventually, as soon as things start to stabilize a bit, hopefully, we'll see even wider profit margins. But at the end of the day, we're doing all right.
If you are able to expand and build new outlets during the COVID-19 pandemic, whatever, you should be able to do it. COVID is over.
Yes,
so
definitely. So that's
now?
what I'm saying. Like, our business has grown so much. Right now, we have 5 outlets.
5 outlets.
And we're going to continue to expand and grow across the continent. That's the goal. So I would definitely say that it's a viable business, and business, other food entrepreneurs trying to make it, just do your own parts, do your own research, and but you can do it as long as there's a will for you to learn and adapt. You can definitely do it.
Adapt to doing business under fire.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we can't compare this market to every other market. This is what we are faced with, and we just have to see. They say that if you can make it anywhere, New York, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. I really believe you can make it in Nigeria, you can make it anywhere. And it makes you really rugged here. It makes you really look at opportunities, look for opportunities to sell. So I'll say dig deep and see what is like what is tough in your what is not doing well in your business, and cut the fat.
Nigeria seems to have toughened you.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Even things from like maybe your menu might be way too wide. Look at streamlining your menu. There's no reason to have 20 items that are not selling. Why not cut things down a little bit so that you can really sell those products as opposed to the loss and the waste.
Let us hold it there. The rest you can do for a masterclass and ask the others in the business to pay you. That's enough.
Okay.
That's enough, because I don't want you to say too much. Let them pay for it, and then you do the masterclass on restaurant. That's Toasties Limited. Thank you so much, Eka Obaigwena. We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
When you're opening more branches, let's be the first to know.
Yes, definitely.
Here when things are going well.
Definitely.
It's good having you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Eka
you.
Obaigwena, the founder and managing director at Toasties Limited.